Good evening, friends, and welcome for this evening's live program by WRCFE and SLN. This is a program whereby you will be able to hear about online issues related to your problems about Google and the issues that which you face while you are on online. We have today Bani, who is the Google representative for South Asia, a well-known person and very articulate and clear in her clarifications and the queries that which you have. Father Norbert, who will interview her today on behalf of all of us and put before us a clear concept of online. Friends, we are in this time of challenges. This challenging time invites us to face the present day situation in our education system, that soon we may not be able to open up the schools, especially in red zone and then containment areas. And we need to be proactive in preparing our staff, our teachers, and also our students to get into online. I'm sure we are able to help you all as much as we are trying, especially Mr. Francis Joseph, his team, and the WRCFE team working together to give you this exposure. I'm sure you will also cooperate with us in the field of online education. I wish you all the best today and enjoy your session by participating it actively. Welcome, Bani and Father Norbert. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Archbishop Elias Gonsalves, who is leading the Western region of the Catholic Bishops Conference in the field of education. Thank you, Archbishop, for your kind words and your gracious welcome to all of us. Very good evening to one and all, to all our viewers, our teachers, our parents, our students, our school leaders joining us on this live interaction. I'm Father Norbert D'Souza from Holy Cross Church in Mumbai, and we are so happy to welcome in our midst Miss Bani Dhawan. Miss Bani heads Google Education and is in charge of the South Asia region. Welcome, madam, to this our presentation, and we are so very happy and delighted to have you with us. It's an honor to have you with us. I know Google is a leader of leading a revolution in the field of online education for many years now, and we are really fortunate to have you with us. This program has been made possible because of the Western Region Catholic Foundation for Education, along with SLN, School Leaders Network, which is a group of schools coming together, especially during these times of the pandemic, to help our children in order to learn better even during this moment. Welcome, Miss Bani. We are so happy that you have taken time out to explain to us, to talk to us about what are the possibilities and the opportunities in the field of online education. Miss Bani, let me begin by congratulating you for doing some great research, some great programs put in place, especially in the recent weeks. Can you talk to us about your vision at Google Education, and what are your plans for the cause of education?
Thank you, Father. Thank you so much for the kind words. And good evening, everyone. Pleasure to meet you all. So, from Google for Education perspective, our endeavor is to be able to provide equitable and democratized access to the best quality education. And that's what we've been doing globally. And we're glad that we have partnered with a network not only be able to provide our platform, but what I really am excited about is how everybody is coming together as a community of teachers, community of students, community of parents, to actually take up a common cause of providing and continuing education. So online education is new. We know that this is a disruptive or a different medium, but the fact that you're all embracing it with open arms and the fact that you're all excited about it, we are humbled. From a Google for Education perspective, again, we have over 120 million students using G Suite for Education worldwide. 100 million users, students and teachers use Google Classroom, and 40 million use Google Chromebooks as part of their everyday online learning scenarios. We're glad that now we are actually able to continue education in Indian schools, and especially across the Western region, Catholic Foundation for Education. And we're looking forward to that partnership to grow many folds. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, SLN. I have to call out Francis, sir. He's led from the front. He has actually not only brought us together, but has actually, enabled us to communicate so effortlessly using technology. And I'm really honored today to be part of your conversation.
And for us, Bani, it's a privilege to be a part of Google. The numbers are staggering, 120 million. And I'm sure with many of our schools joining in, we'll be indeed blessed to reap the benefits of the technology that is available to our teachers and students and parents at Google. Bani, many of our teachers, many of our parents are joining us for this program and broadcast. And we would like to know, for the benefit of those who are using Google Classrooms for the first time, what kind of a learning management system is it? Can you talk to us about some of the features of Google Classroom?
Sure, absolutely, Father. So the way that I look at it is that we are all very familiar and comfortable with our children going to school every day, to find that comfort in their school environment, to be able to actually not only flourish, academically, but also have that community, being able to run around, meet their friends, have sports in their life. But unfortunately, these are unprecedented times. And what we really need to bring in is this kind of normalcy, whatever we can bring in terms of normalcy and continuing of education in their lives. So the next best alternative, or a blended approach that I would call it, is to be online and to enable that kind of a secure online learning experience. Google Classroom brings together the best of this learning environment. So in India, we traditionally thought that a lot of schools, when they decided to go online during the early days of the pandemic in March and April, the intent was to get on and start a video conferencing arrangement. We believe as Google, what's really important is to think through the entire learning experience and not just about how do we actually come online in a video conference and engage with the students. Google Classroom provides that kind of learning management system where the teachers are able to share assignments. They're able to actually curate and collect and develop content, whether it's video content or assignments or assessments, to actually enable a more holistic learning through the medium. And what is unique about Google Classroom is that our product teams have really worked hard in the last couple of weeks to integrate Google Meet, which is a video conferencing environment, within the Google Classroom environment, which means all that a student needs to do is, just like they were getting into their physical classrooms, they are now able to log in to a virtual Google Classroom using Google Meet and be able to conduct and learn holistically using Google Classroom. So we're very excited about the opportunity. Like I mentioned, Google Classroom is part of G Suite for Education. Each school can set up secure IDs for their students and their teachers using G Suite for Education. Google Classroom is an application within that. And so, what we really are trying to do with the schools is to simplify the online learning experience and enable a teacher to use all the learning and learning material and pedagogy that they've been familiar with in the online world. Of course, we are there to actually handhold you through this journey. It's a new medium. We all are going to learn new things, but that's the exciting part. And I'm sure the students on the other side will be very, very excited because they love to interact with technology.
Wonderful, Bani. It's also nice for us to know the face and the team behind the online learning system that we are using, what we call Google. A team that is very warm, that is very friendly, and we have in the past few weeks experienced the wonderful support that our teachers and our schools have been receiving. So it's nice for us, for our parents and teachers, to know that with a simple internet connection and with an Android phone and with a simple account, one can catch up with school and studies right from the comfort of our homes. This is good news for our parents, who many of whom are worried about when will school reopen. It's nice for us to know that education and school is still on, even in the midst of the pandemic. Yeah, it's great news for us. Can you also, for the benefit of the parents who are joining us on this show, talk to our parents about how will it benefit in terms of the students learning? What role do the parents have to play when it comes to monitoring the children, especially when they are doing their classes and when they are doing their assignments? What is the role of parents in this entire online system of learning on Google Classrooms?
Sure. So, Father, you're absolutely right that the fact that we're able to continue education and engage with the student is very, very critical. We have always believed that the teacher is is the director of this online learning experience. And just like they were guiding their students in a physical classroom, in the virtual classroom, these tools will provide them the kind of technology that they will be able to not only manage the learning experience for delivering a subject, say for example, mathematics or Marathi or Hindi or English as a language, but also will be able to engage very deeply with the students in terms of project-based learning. So the best partnerships that we have seen in the online world is where the teacher brings in, her technology or her pedagogy expertise, and using this technology, which is very scalable and every child can engage with that teacher, be able to create interesting lesson work. What I mean by that is, for a primary student, the show and tell, to be able to talk through a particular topic and ask them to be creative, show off their, experiences in terms of their drawings, etc., is very, very interactive. And what we would want that the parents should engage with in that primary school category is to become their partners in this play. They need that kind of intervention. They need the magic in the learning. And when the parent, the teacher, and the student will come together, we are sure that not only will they be very, very creative, but learning will become fun. Now, that's the classroom, which is the younger, our little ones. As we progress, we all know that we would want our children to be able to cover certain concepts and be able to kind of learn across the subjects that they have. So we believe that in the middle school, what will really be important is then to be able to provide them a secure and comfortable environment to continue this kind of an online learning session. The important criteria there will be, do they have access? Do they have the right set of internet connectivity or a strong bandwidth that will enable them to do this kind of an online learning environment? Do they have the device to be able to engage with the teacher, to be able to create the projects, to be able to do teamwork and co-create with their teacher as well as their peers? So the parents role becomes more inclined towards how do we actually facilitate this entire online process, and becomes partner in some way with the teacher, the school management, and the student. That's a very, very important role to play. There also, I believe that the idea is that there are different types of learners in this category. So some might be comfortable with the environment of a teacher actually saying in Google Classroom, watch a video, do an assignment, while others might need that gentle nudge and say, can we clear certain concept with you? Is the teacher available? So facilitate that interaction. I would, however, say that I know from my own personal experience, since I have young kids in that age group, they are the happiest exploring this technology platform themselves. They want to partner with their teacher. They actually want to say that, they raise their hands and say, can we create a presentation and show you, this, or explain this concept? We would want the parent to encourage that as well, because it might seem to you that they are doing other than academics, but that is what is the beauty of this environment, that they are able to become creative, that they are able to do different aspects of partnership with their teacher. And finally, in the senior school, again, I would emphasize just to have an environment at home where there is a room, there is, it's easy for them to be able to engage with their teachers in an online setting. And more importantly, in the long term, encourage them to do a blended approach. You rightly said that, we don't know what the future holds, but we can definitely make intelligent guesses that while we are not going to go completely online, we might have some time before we can actually enter our schools and be able to engage in a physical environment. So what we really need to do from preparing our students and the role that parents and teachers will play is to get ready that whatever comes our way, we can adapt to that environment. And it can be a blended model. And there is nothing to fear in terms of an online learning environment. We have seen that the world over, research shows that it's a great medium for students to engage with their peers, as well as their teachers. And there are huge uptake in learning outcomes as well through the medium.
Thank you, Bani. Your inputs must have calmed the fears of a lot of our parents who are, some of whom are clueless, a little worried perhaps of what is to unfold in this so-called online classrooms. One of the things that you mentioned about the role of the teacher in the classroom, which is pivotal, the most important role in managing the classroom and leading the process of learning. We have a number of teachers who are here from different schools, and on behalf of the teacher, we would like to ask you a few questions about what are the different options or what are the different techniques that different teachers can use when it comes to their different subjects, especially when it comes to language teachers, or you have teachers who teach regional languages. Also, you have special requirements of math and science. And you have a lot of online tools available to help teachers in their specific pedagogy. Can you talk us through how user-friendly and wonderful it is for the teacher to explore this entire process of online teaching?
Absolutely, Father. So, one of the things that technology does very well is to simplify your experience in terms of the language that you would want to teach in, the kind of resources that you would want, whether it's video resources or quizzes or Android applications that you're familiar with. So, whatever the teacher is the most comfortable with, that's what their starting point should be. Google G Suite for Education, for example, is available in 11 Indian languages, which means that whatever is the context of the school, whether you are actually teaching in Marathi or you're teaching in English, you should actually make that entire technology environment to suit your learning style and the students' learning style. So it is a click of a button where you will be able to preset, and the entire learning environment will become language specific. There is speech to text. So Indian teachers are taking very well to speech to text. So all you need to do is to open a Google Doc, speak into a document, and then see the magic happen in terms of not only translations into various languages, but also transliteration. One of the most effective applications that I have seen personally is when you're actually trying to do an assessment. So you've taught a concept, you've taken a video, you've actually explained it on a whiteboard using technology. And what you really want to do is do a quick survey that, have my students really got it? Have I got everybody's attention online? Which is a great pedagogical practice in any case. So what a teacher can do is to embed a Google form on Google Classroom, time it for a specific time and say, I would like to do this assessment starting 10 to 10:15, and then easily be able to get online and deliver that. You're able to do it in the local language that you prefer. You're able to do it using videos, again, or multiple choice questions, or subjective type questions as well. So we are absolutely, facilitating that environment for the teacher. I would also say, Father, that the teacher has some of the most amazing skills to deliver a subject already because they've been doing it all their life. It'll be great if they partner with their students and take feedback in terms of what is the format that they like the best. So we see a lot of students, because we need to be very focused in both concept explanation as well as, how do we run assessments, doing multiple choice questions, doing surveys, quick surveys, doing quizzes is very, very interesting. And what a teacher can quickly assess is that, is that concept being explained well, or do I need to repeat certain aspect of it? I would also go back to my point on project-based learning. This environment allows the student to collaborate with their teacher and collaborate with their fellow students. So if a teacher wants to explain the concept of water or mountains, we should actually make it into a project-based experience where the child is not only doing that during the classroom, but also has something that they can actually engage with between their student group afterwards. And what the teacher should encourage is communication. So they can actually have a separate session where she would want the group or the teams to present to the rest of the class. Now, these are, shifts that we are seeing when you do online learning, but it comes easy if you just kind of go with the flow. So I think nobody should be worried. It's about going with the flow, experimenting, and making sure that you actually are able to, engage with your peers, younger peers who are comfortable as teachers with technology, as also with your students. So I have a question that can we teach in Urdu? So the answer is yes, you will be able to teach in Urdu.
Excellent. So this is an exciting time also for our teachers to explore newer ways of teaching,
Yes.
Trying their creativity and trying their skills at getting the kids to learn different concepts through different activities and, through collaborative learning. Having taught in a school, we have a certain school culture where we as a team of teachers, we kind of help one another to grow and learn. And all this while, we always look up to our senior teachers in a typical school culture setting to kind of lead the way. And truly, our senior teachers have been leading the way in our classrooms. But sometimes some of our senior teachers may not be very familiar with technology. Okay, so just to address some of the questions that have been coming to us about senior teachers taking up to learning newer skills on online platforms. I know Google is very user friendly, but we would like to hear about your success at training teachers who are taking up to this medium for the first time.
Absolutely. So our research with NCRT pilots and wherever we have actually been able to, scale with Google Classroom and G Suite for Education has clearly shown that teachers who have led, pedagogy or have the strength in their subjects will easily be able to adopt to this medium. So there is nothing that shows that, there should be any hesitation or they cannot do it. These are very intuitive technologies. My favorite example is that nobody really taught us how to use a phone. Nobody really taught us how to use WhatsApp. And we found these groups and we started to collaborate and, sharing lesson plans. We also started sharing with students and parents as a medium. It is the same environment. So the first hesitation that you might have had with technology, now you need to review it and say again that this is something new and probably I'll have to do it twice over before I get the hang of it, but it's fine because it's as easy, it's as intuitive, and what the result that you will, and the feedback that you will get from your student is so magical and so amazing that that'll give you instant satisfaction for all the hard work and the experiments that you might have done. Having said that, like I said, I have huge confidence in our senior leaders and senior teachers who know their subject very well. Give yourself the faith and the hope that you would get this, and it is easy. The second strategy that has actually worked in our schools, in the Indian schools, is that there is a peer-to-peer collaboration that happens. So there is a teacher who's more familiar with technology and has taken to some of these technologies quicker or has experienced it before, can actually partner with a senior teacher who's more focused on her subject matter and then experiment and maybe do a co-teaching class. Now, in this co-teaching class, not only are they supporting each other, but also they are taking care of elements that they feel most comfortable with and say, okay, we're going to lead for a couple of classes before the teacher can do an independent, classroom. That works. The second is that there can be a common framework set up in every school, because what we use for English can easily be adopted as a framework for mathematics and social sciences and physics and biology, etc. as well. So the framework, which is more collaborative, which is more project-based learning, which is more like how do we make the lesson plan bite-sized so that we have everybody's attention in the classroom, are common practices. So if these frameworks are developed, it's easy for one teacher that's taking a lead and comfortable with technology to share it with the larger set, the cohort of mentor teachers in the school, and then they can experiment with their own subjects. That's working. And finally, my favorite has always been collaborating with the students. You tell them that I would want you to do all of this great project work for me, build these slides for me, and take a lead on being the director and the guider and saying that, can you explain these concepts? Who's going to present today? What is the kind of external research that you have done on this topic? And you will actually build a digital resource like no other. So those are some of the things that are working really well in India.
Yes. Thank you for your valuable input in encouraging our teachers. And I'm sure all our teachers will do very well. They have always stood the test of change, and they will continue to lead their students, especially during these times. Bani, a concern for the teachers when it comes to assessment of the students' learning. What are the tools available, and how reliable and how effective is the assessment strategy of these online learning systems, especially Google Classrooms?
Absolutely. So, Father, all of those countries that had got online in the last 7 years have actually evolved to provide very sophisticated online assessment solutions. So that has already been done. It is probably new to India because we're still, understanding or taking the baby step in terms of adopting a platform, creating a learning environment using Google Classrooms. However, there is so much of global learning out there. There are such active communities online. Google Educator Groups is one such community. There are a lot of very active Google Educator Group leaders in India itself. Sangeeta ma'am was somebody that you have met as part of these YouTube series as well. So the idea is to connect, create that local community within India, and utilize all the learnings that the global community has to be able to adopt some of the best practices. And I would also say relevant practices to our scenario. In terms of assessments, it's completely foolproof. What Google Classroom enables you is to actually decide what kind of assessment you would like to run. Would it be a simple quiz format? Will it be a Google form? Will it be a subjective type, Google Docs assessment? Or it could be an assessment over an application, an Android application that you probably have found very interesting for your subject. All of this can be incorporated into Google Classroom. What you need to do is to just simply assign that assessments to every child in the classroom. Set a time that says, I want to start an assessment for every student in my classroom at a particular time, and then end it on that time. Google Classroom as a technology platform facilitates that. After you have run the assessments, you will also be able to grade those assessments online. And I guess the most effective way is that you already have multiple choice questions. You already have set answers to some of them. So technology supports you to autocorrect some of them. In the subjective type questions, the teacher will obviously, just like they do with the notebooks, have to review this, leave a comment, leave a suggestion, ask the student to do more research, etc., and or grade them. So you can actually determine what kind of grading system you would want in Google Classroom. And depending on how you've been running the school semester system, similarly, you would be able to do that in the virtual environment as well. So nothing changes. And what is really amazing is that it makes you more productive because you don't have to reinvent the wheel of, correcting notebooks and then putting these scores online or these grades online or marks online. All you have to do is to find a spreadsheet, develop an e-portfolio for the student, and the formative as well as summative assessments over the period of the year. So it's the same process. It's just it has moved online, and I would also add the fact that it has become simple.
Yeah, this sounds very exciting, and I'm sure this will be a very exciting phase for all our schools and for all our teachers. Also, come to think of it, the amount of resources, the teaching material, the videos, the animated experiments, and the amount of worksheets that can be made available to the children is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Yes.
if only we make better use of these resources, our kids will find learning so very exciting. Oh?
Absolutely, Father. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they take to this environment very quickly because this is new, this is fresh. And it's also very engaging. I'm sure you and I were able to connect face to face. So a teacher and a student does that in the same medium, and you can actually feel that connect happening in the classroom as well.
Yes. Perhaps for us in India, this is to a certain extent new.
Yes.
We are just entering into that phase, but you have universities and colleges around the world, schools and institutions that have been using this so very effectively. What are your experiences from the other parts of the world? For example, in the West, where this is much more widely accepted, and will India take to it as the West is taking to online education and learning?
So absolutely, Father. I believe that I'm very, very optimistic about, that we would take to it. I think the way that we have been resilient in these unprecedented time, how we've come together as a community, how we've actually not let that bog us down even as an education institution. We've taken quick decisions. We've said, okay, we need to do this. We need to bring in normalcy for our students. We need to continue education. That itself shows a very positive signal. And everybody has been supportive of that change. The teachers have overnight accepted that, and before that, it was always something to be done in the future. Some other countries doing it, and we'll do it when we have better infrastructure or when we have more devices in the hands of our students. But the time is now, and we have adapted to it. So I think that milestone we've already overcome. In terms of how successful we will be in the learning environment and what we can learn from the West, I would say we will develop our own system. We have certain unique attributes that will help us take a more blended approach to learning. We have a culture that will, enable us to find the balance that we as Indians would want. Whether it's in terms of how long will our online classes be, what is the kind of interaction that we will do online. Can we introduce? So I hear a lot of schools that have introduced yoga. They have introduced physical education as part of their online class timetable. And that's unique in that sense that we're actually thinking through dance classes. So we're actually saying we are only not going to deliver academics, but we're going to provide this whole holistic experience to our children so that we can keep them engaged. We can also probably take a break from just being, a conversation to actually enjoying that activity together. We have circle time, home rooms, where the social and emotional well-being of a child is being considered. So teachers actually reaching out. I think a child needs all of this, whatever age group that they are in. The fact that, there are certain talent competitions that are happening at the class level. So, you're actually seeing other students perform, whether it's music in their life, whether it's a conversation or a debate. So I think that's the model that I feel that we would take to. Globally, we have seen that the ecosystem has developed to provide the kind of support that, the teachers and the school management needs, whether it's in the form of Android apps that are gamified. We have Byju's, we have Vedantu, we have Khan Academy, that is providing the kind of content we need to not only cover our curriculum, but also help that child, adopt and adapt to more learning-centered approach. You can have personalized learning. A child can learn at their own pace. Those are the advantages that technology will now bring into our children's life. Because it was always thought of as doing after school. Now with the school encouraging it, I think it'll be a symbiotic relationship, and we'll say, okay, how can we actually, improve that? So I'm a firm believer that it will be a blended learning approach for us in India. We'll do it with our own cultural nuance to it. We will also find the fine balance that we often want as parents and, as school management, that, we want our child to be physically active, to be able to do a prayer in the morning, to be able to do yoga together. So all of that will happen in the online medium, and we will build a flourishing system for sure.
Yeah. I think there's a question coming from a teacher, Lucy Criado. If you could take that question on the class strength.
Yes, sure. So how do we manage a class of 85 plus students? I'm talking about a primary class, and please guide us on that. So some of the best practices that I have seen is that there should be a co-class teacher if you have a larger size than 30. In an online learning environment, it always helps that if you bring in students of a certain age group, there can also be the strategy where some older students are clubbed together with younger. But if it's the same grade student, and we are talking about the first graders or the second grader, what is really important is to set certain digital citizenship guidelines. Their parents will have to join in the primary school segment, where they actually set up this online environment for them. They're able to set up the video Google Meet for them. They know the basic functions of how to mute themselves, how to unmute to ask a question, whether your video should be on or off. How do you create a hygiene at the very beginning of the classroom so that the teacher is not struggling to get everybody together or get everybody settled in? So I think that's the first prerequisite. The second is the kind of engagement that you would do, the kind of learning as a primary school teacher you would do, would have to be as more interactive. So, like I said, if you're trying to teach them Qutub Minar, if you're talking about Rashtrapati Bhavan in India Gate, we should ask them to put all of these pictures together, ask them to research a bit and add lines in terms of when it was built, what is the purpose of that monument, and have an engaging discussion with those students. Some of it might be very interesting when they draw it and bring it to your notice. So show and tell, making fun, learning to actually sing along for language, deciding on what they should do with their parents in terms of read along. And there are a lot of apps that are available. Google, we ourselves have a read along app that is for Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Telugu, and English speaking students. They have a repository of books where an AI assistant or Dia, she's a buddy that actually encourages, you can speak into that phone, it's completely offline, and that AI-driven, speech recognition engine called Dia actually pauses, tells them to read a spelling, corrects them if they are wrong, tells them to pronounce a word accurately, and go on to the next. So technology is making huge strides in terms of how innovative it can be. We need to, as a parent community, as a school management, look through all of these valuable resources and bring it into their learning experience. It should be the teacher who should curate it, because the parents will feel more satisfied when it actually comes from an authority who understands the learning needs of that child, who are able to help them get more creative. This is the time to do all of that with the help of the parents. So parents have a huge and important role to play.
Yes. In class, you would normally have the monitor in the class to mind the kids in the class. I think the parents have a crucial role as monitors now to be able to guide their children.
Yes.
Right? Bani, I would like to just shift the discussion towards a very important aspect of online learning for our children. While this is very exciting for our kids, those who are on one side of the digital divide, there is a huge concern about kids who have no access to technology, kids who have no access to the phone and to the internet. And of late, we have been hearing a huge migration of families from one state to the other. How concerning, or how do we analyze this situation, and how can we help children who have no access to technology?
So I think it's a very, very important question, Father. I think, and it is one that we will have to not only address, but actually be very, very innovative about. We cannot afford to have a lot of our students outside of that learning ecosystem. We also know that the technology or blended learning approach has its own advantages in terms of personalized learning. There is so much of access and content, great content that is available that democratizes, this kind of a learning experience. So it's very, very important that we take this as one of those, it is here to stay. It is a long-term, transformation that is happening in education. And what is it that we can do as a community, as a government, and as a school management to actually, and as parents as well, as partners, to make sure that our children have access and we are reducing or completely eliminating the digital divide. And while we are doing so, I believe that we are not going to be able to find just one solution. Because we are a large country, we obviously have very diverse needs, and there are social economic conditions that we have to keep in mind. So I think that there will be various technology solutions that will happen over a period of time that will impact learning. But one of the most fundamentals, I believe, is that we should definitely make sure that internet and a device, and I actually am propagating more of a creation-based device rather than just consuming content, because a small screen is a small screen at the end of the day. And as you and I, we are very familiar that it's very difficult to learn for multiple hours just being in front of our phones. So I believe that we definitely need to make an investment in the ecosystem where our students have devices in their hands, where we can create those assignments, where we can create those presentations that are exciting for them, and they are able to do, online learning for whatever duration of time their teacher and their school deems fit. There has to be an investment on internet infrastructure. There are a lot of governments who are already talking about how do we partner with the community, how do we make sure that we prioritize certain class groups and stuff. So every country in the world has taken a very informed decision. Japan, for one, actually had planned that they will have devices for every student in their classroom by 2024. And now they have actually pushed it back, and that mission is now 2020. Now we need to be as decisive. We need to actually go out there and say, this has to be done today and it's urgent. And we need to make sure that we are able to, at least wherever there is connectivity and wherever we can help a child be in a synchronous conversation like we are in today over Google Meet, that should happen. Wherever we cannot get to a child with, this kind of synchronous exposure, we need to have televised learning material that goes to the child. We need the teacher at the district level then to connect with that child to be able to answer their queries. And finally, radio is a very powerful medium where at least helping them, engage with that medium for a specific period of time. But while doing so, I would say we have to prioritize and reach the last child. That has to be done. It has to be done sooner rather than later, I would say. And worldwide, the effort has been made to actually provide access to students.
Yeah, that's true. I think this entire pandemic has put us into a spot in a certain sense where we have to take action and we have to decide in ensuring that our children get the best education and every child has access to good quality education. Bani, but also for our children who kind of miss meeting their friends in person, the masti, the fun, the frolic. That is something that our children will miss. No,
Yes.
Can they come close to that? The fun and the entire atmosphere of an actual classroom.
So absolutely, Father. My hope, and because I have two girls who are growing up in this environment, I think, yes, we need to find that fine balance, and we will find that soon enough. And while we are in the process of finding and getting them back into schools, making sure that they are safe whenever they get back to school, the fact that we are able to engage in this manner, the fact that they're able to see their teachers and their fellow students is huge. I would add that one of the considerations that we have to make as a community, as a society, when dealing with internet-based learning, is that what kind of technology solutions are able to support us in this internet engaged learning. So one of the fundamental questions that I know will be in the minds of a lot of school management and a lot of parents is that how do we ensure that this is a safe internet experience? So from a Google for Education perspective, we have actually built products that are designed to provide that safe and secure environment to our students and to our teachers. One, because of G Suite for Education, which is actually an ID that a school will invest in and will set up for every teacher and every student. So this is a unique identity. Just like a roll number is a unique identity, the G Suite for Education will be a unique identity. When the internet-enabled learning starts, what we have built, which is one of the most popular solutions worldwide, is Chromebooks, which is a laptop form factor where the student's education experience is completely managed by the school. So either the parents can actually say, we don't want them to actually have any access to anything other than learning material in the internet, that the school can enable. It is 100% an education device, secured by policies, about 200 policies that allows the school to actually block or whitelist or blacklist inappropriate content and make sure the right education content is delivered to the school, to the student. And also the third question is, what about data? It is going to be such an expensive proposition, but technology today offers very affordable solution We are in any case one of the countries that has the cheapest data available. It's like every Indian is now more or less touched by it. So what we really need to now think about is, how do we find those affordable technology solutions? How do we find the best data plans? And how do we invest as a community to reach those students? Technology has the answer to all of that. Worldwide, we have seen them adopted already, but we need to take that leap for India as well.
Yes, absolutely true. Also, it's very nice for us to know that technology is reaching out towards children, especially during these times where children are indoors. It is
Yeah.
not the best atmosphere for them to learn. But this has been unprecedented. But then I believe when kids go on to online classrooms and begin their learning online, as far as possible, we'll give them a very good and a positive atmosphere away from
Absolutely.
the stress of this entire pandemic. So that is so very, very crucial for us, especially for the parents, to realize that sooner the kids get back to learning, get back to their school activity, get back to their learning, get back to all their the school practices, they will be healthier and happier, knowing
Yes.
that this is the best available option that the
Yes.
kids take to online learning. And I think
Yes.
it's very important for our parents to kind of sit with us on the same page as most of our schools and make sure that their children take part in online classes on this Google platform, and this is in the best interest of the children. You as a parent,
Yes.
would be able to talk to our parents who are
Yes.
perhaps a little undecided or don't know which way this online system will go. Perhaps
Yes.
you as a parent can say a few words to encourage our parents to get online and start this Google education.
Yes, absolutely, Father. And I'm happy to take some questions as well. But yeah, my own personal experience is such that, the amount of, safety, the normalcy that they've been able to bring, this online learning environment has been able to bring for my girls, clearly demonstrates that it's a great medium to not only, provide that security net or the safety net to them, but I see the teachers being so innovative. Like I mentioned, yoga classes, dance classes, physical education, football online. I mean, it's so exciting to be able to learn techniques online. So we have sports teachers who come in and said, we're going to do music teachers who have come and taken classes. So I think that is the intent, that wherever we can't do much about the fact that we can't be outside, but whatever best that we can do of what we have today, I think that's what we have to be positive about. So absolutely, I encourage, and rest assured, for everybody who's worried about, my children is going to be, unsupervised in front of an internet enabled environment, technology has the answer. We'll completely give you a secure and a safe environment, and children will not be doing anything that you don't want them to be doing. It's going to
Uh,
be absolutely a happy place.
Thank you. I'm just joining the conversation because I can raise some questions. So one of the question which is coming up is about the young children, right? Because especially the kindergarten kids, the primary kids, we have been
Mhm.
always talking about screen time, how much time they should go through online learning. Is it suitable for those kids? So that's one query which is coming on. Would you like
Sure.
to share your thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So one of my younger ones actually a primary grader. So what I can talk from experience is that they're very comfortable again with that medium. I understand the apprehensions in terms of, do we want to do 5 or 6 hours of online learning, or do we do that after sixth grade? So it's a valid question. My recommendation there is, start with a smaller time period of time to engage with primaries. Start with concentrated, focused activities that you believe will, increase their language skills or their numeracy skills at the primary level, and then build on it after 4 or 5 weeks of learning or engaging between the student and the parent. They give a lot of feedback. Is the medium comfortable for them? Is everybody settling into this medium? Is my recommendation. I also would like that to be, I would say that supplement or complement that with some kind of creation-based activity that the parent can actually do with their children. So it could be a physical activity, or it could actually be, like I said, painting, music. And these are recommendations that can come from a teacher. I also know that there is a lot of online classes happening with multiple sections together. And a group comes together and then they talk about, just have an open discussion about what are they worried about, how can we support them together. So all of these work as strategies for primary graders, for sure. And screen time is not a worry. It's I guess this medium will give us answers as we go along the way, but start small and then ease into it is the recommendation.
Yeah, I think, like you rightly said, we are also going to do a session on virtual school assemblies and virtual parent-teachers meeting the next 2 days. I think we
Yes.
need to explore, like she mentioned, about children doing sports and yoga. I think this is the best time for teacher to be innovative, right? Ensure that whatever is happening in the school level, how we can bring at least some percentage of those kind of activities
Absolutely.
into the online. I had a school last week where the teacher were actually doing Zumba with all the parents, right? And they had all the parents actually gathered together along with the children doing Zumba together, right?
Yes.
So it is all possible. It's
Yeah.
only our mind which sometimes blocks it, saying that no, this is not going to happen. This might not happen. I think
Yeah.
we should just overcome that phase. I think, Bani, another question is coming about Google Meet, because there is some confusion that, is it 40 minutes? What happens in Google Meet? So you want to share a bit about Google Meet and the safety of children being on Google Meet?
Absolutely. So Google Meet is part of G Suite for Education, which is the enterprise or the school ID that we are intending to do with all schools. So first things first, it's not going to be a consumer account or a Gmail account that probably is causing this confusion. It's going to be a school account. Now, the moment it's a school account, it's part of the school's domain and part of the ID that is provided to the students. It is driven by security and privacy guidelines that are the best in the world. Google's audited for it. We are, like I told you, 120 million students and teachers use it worldwide. So we know it's a completely safe environment. We have met all of the requirements to protect the children and protect their privacy. It is not a consumer account or a Gmail account. The second part of it, since it's part of G Suite for Education, it is provided free of cost. It can actually host a class of 250 students for the amount of time a teacher needs to deliver a classroom. So if the classroom time is 40 minutes, then it will be for 40 minutes. If it needs to be 1 hour or 1 hour 20 minutes or 2 hours, it will be active for that point in time. Just like any other Google Meet link, that will remain active. So that's the environment we are dealing with. What we need to understand as a community is that there are multiple, products that are used, which are used either at the school level or at the individual level. We're not talking about individual level technologies because they're going to have their own nuances. We're talking about a school taking ownership of the school, the students' learning experience, and working closely with you on every aspect of it, whether it's security or privacy, on how are you actually recording it and playing back these recordings on Google Meet, how secure it is, this recording. Nobody can join a link on Google Meet after the teacher has left the classroom. It cannot be misused. It cannot be forwarded or shared and another meet can start. So this is a clear difference between G Suite for Education and the environment that we are going to provide to schools and your consumer IDs. So there is a question, can we create Google Classroom using personal school ID or do we need G Suite? So my recommendation is go with G Suite for Education because that's the official school domain, and create Google Classroom using those. Those are much more secure. Those are the ones that the school has an ownership on, and anything that you create on it will actually go and will be saved as part of the school domain. So for a parent as well as for a teacher, it's a much more secure environment.
Okay, so here's another question. Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead, Father, please.
No, take. You can take the question about Yeah.
So just because of the pandemic, we're thinking of online education. Then what is next when regular school start? Can we blend this online education with regular school? Oh, absolutely. That's what we've been talking about, that it's not an either or. We know that technology is an intrinsic part of this generation, and we should not resist that. At the same time, we know the value of being together in a school environment, and that's never going to be and never should be taken away. We've all grown up in that environment and have flourished as individuals, so we need to give that to our children. So the future is going to be a blended environment. We are going to see more and more of the online, learning happening at school and also after school. Is G Suite free? Yes. G Suite for Education is free of cost, and it gives you unlimited drive storage.
Yes, this is for the benefit of our parents who may have a number of questions about registration. Most of our schools have been registering for Google applications, and the parents can check with their schools as to which online platform that that your school is opting for. Many of our schools in Maharashtra and Gujarat and Goa, who are part of the Western Region Catholic Education Foundation and SLN Global Network, are already registered. And maybe you can, as parent, can check with the school about your medium of online learning.
I think I just want to add here that many schools, have prepared themselves, right? But this is a long journey. It's not a journey where you will finish when the pandemic gets over, right? And I think this will, you might see the benefit of this as we move forward to a physical school, because using Google Classroom, you would be actually teachers would be will get more innovative and creative actually, because they are going to plan their the teaching materials, the learning materials in a much better way. They are going to organize it better. Everything is going to be there with them. It's not on a notebook. Everything is stored. It can also be shared with other teachers. So I think it's a very long-term transformational strategy, I think, for teaching and learning. And I think that's what we saw in Google Classroom, not only just like a video app, right? Video app like a Google Meet or a Zoom or a Microsoft Team is just a video app. I feel just teaching through a video app is incomplete. Otherwise we'll remain in the same system where a teacher comes with a textbook, goes to the classroom, teaches, and goes off. There's nothing about planning, nothing about keeping resources and organizing them together. I think that's the beauty of Google Classroom, which is a learning management system. It allows the teacher to plan, right? Allows the teacher to conduct assessment, allows the teacher to reach to every student individually, right? Which she will not be able to reach in probably a video app, because she is talking to everyone, right? She might chat, but she might not be able to give a assessment to a specific child. She can't bring differentiation because our classroom has got so many children. And one thing which I saw in one of the school is that they had large classrooms, right? And physically they were not able to accommodate like 85-90 kids, like some schools express that. But virtually you actually could do it, because what the teacher actually did is she actually made different meets, right?
Yeah.
She kept one group in one meet, started another meet for another group, and she was moving around between classes, and these kids were doing activities and they were actually getting busier, and she used to move around. And there is so I think it is possible. Teachers have started innovating ideas how to better their class. Now there is no ratio. You can break all student teacher ratio. It becomes very easy. You can't complain that you have got a large classroom, because you can use technology to make your classroom smaller classrooms. It is possible, right? And I think it's all left to the power of the teacher to apply her mind in creating that. And we have seen that very, very, the last few days interacting with teachers. We did a training yesterday, and till night teachers were actually working on their slides, trying to take part in assessments, and it was amazing. I mean, it was like night 12 o'clock, but still we could see teachers working on it. So teachers are putting a lot of time, right? And I'm sure all the effort which they are putting will bring good results for sure. And to solve the issue about content, we are doing a talk with Khan Academy tomorrow, right? Same time, we have invited Vipul, who heads the school enablement for Khan Academy. He's going to come in. We are trying to see how Khan Academy content can be used, because that's also world's largest free online learning content. And one question which came with Vipul is, which might come again tomorrow, is that some of the content is in in a different accent, right? So the answer was very clear. Children of today understand those accents much clearer because they watch football shows, they watch foreign serials. It's only our challenge, right? Because we fear, right? When something different happens, we always fear that, oh, this is difficult. But children don't have that fear. They immediately get into it. And actually, it will improve the way they speak also. So I think let's look positively. Let's not try to find a black spot in a large white picture. Let's look at the white picture and then try to remove the black spot. Vishal, you want to add something?
I'm very much happy with what Bani has been saying, and I've been following here very carefully what you have been saying, Bani, and you are very clear and distinct about what you said. And the parents and the teachers, surely they have the fear of being something new and change. It is always a challenge for all of us because we are brought up in a different culture, different situation. And the parents there, maybe those who are watching, it's quite natural. Let's accept the fact. But we as WRCFE has been seeing this from last 2 years. We have been preparing for this challenge, and we came out with a education to family values. And in that, we have the special website devoted to that. We have almost 60 topics which are related to the values that which we have been holding dear to all these years. And we have addressed this issue of online problems. The fears that the parents have, we have addressed. And I would recommend to all the teachers and the principals of our Western region, it is created for you. And it was like Francis and we all sat down, the experts in Bombay, and prepared those value education program. Now it is the time we can go into that, because to address our fears, we need to also take precautions for what need to be taken. Let's not be just that what people have fear. We have to address those fears, and we have prepared those classes for you. So I'm assuring our parents and our teachers, please go through those programs, and surely you will get your answers with regard to cyberbullying, with regard to all the addictions, different kinds of addictions people have, even the online evils which are existing there. We have addressed those issues, and we will keep on working on it in future also. So it will complement this online study, and our education to family values complement each other, and we can go ahead with it. We will surely, I recommend the parents, later on we will be putting those YouTube lessons for you, and also for your children and for teachers. At 3 different levels we will be putting this across to you. So I welcome all of us to look into these issues also seriously. Thank you.
I think I just wanted to add about cyber security, right? It's up to us, right? Every company, when they give their tools and apps, it's our responsibility to check into the settings, ensure that we are safe, right? Even if when you buy a house, right, you go to the house, it's getting constructed, you check whether there are any open balconies, you ensure that there are grills. You have one more door outside your main door, get the best lock. I think we look at that so carefully when it comes to a physical life. But similarly, in an online life, you also have to ensure that your house is well protected, for which there is something known as privacy settings. You should decide what to give and you should decide what not to give. So finally, the keys are with you. If you do not use it, you will definitely fall into some kind of situation. So I think, and it hardly takes time. Just go to your settings, see what are they asking for, and say yes or no. One question about data, which they ask. You want to share?
Yes, sure. I'll address that. So, absolutely right, sir. One of the fundamental things that we should do is to be informed digital citizens. That's important for the teacher, for the student, as the parent, as well as the school management. So, we do have a series of being digitally responsible and digital citizenship lectures. But to address the question of G Suite for education, so Google does not own G Suite for education data. The school owns that. It is their domain and their data. Google does not monetize it. And we've been doing this, providing Google G Suite for education free of cost for over 10 years globally. Never has there been any issue. Be rest assured that our intent is to serve and be able to provide the best technology solution to every child in the world. Our intent is to be able to partner with the school system to to enable them to, like I said, use and keep that data safe. Make sure that the students and the teachers who are using it also use it responsibly going forward. And wherever there is information that is required, we have enough resources available online that can tell you about what to do, how to inform your child as well to remain secure online. So for rest assured that we are a very responsible company, and we are so thankful for this opportunity to work with you all. Bishop, it's an honor again to meet you. Thank you so much for leading, for guiding us, and thank you, Father Norbert. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. And what can I say about Francis, sir? He's my favorite. Just listen to him and say, I'm going to do this, and you have to be available. And I don't even worry about what I have to do. I'm just like, yes, I'm going to show up. So it's a great partnership, and thank you so much for the passion, for the energy, everything.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to just, before we end, just show the kind of training which we are going to have. So we are on 2nd. On 4th, we have an interaction with Vipul from Khan Academy. And then on 5th, we are doing something known as conducting virtual school assemblies and virtual parent-teacher meeting. Now, the conducting virtual school assemblies and virtual parent-teacher meeting, we are doing it now because many schools are expected to open probably next week, right? Like Gujarat is opening on 9th, Bombay is opening probably online on 15th, Kerala is actually opened up. So we felt that these kind of initiatives should happen. And who are going to conduct these sessions are schools which are already doing it, right? Yes. So the power is in your peer schools, not anyone else, right? So we have a school known as Alcon International School in Delhi, which so Ashok Pandeyji and his team is going to conduct this because they have been doing this for some time. So they are also going to be involving some children. So I request you to follow the training schedule. Go to the page, you'll always see the link around, and let's learn as a community in education, right? Total, like a teaching community, we have to come together to learn. Father Norbert, you want to say something before we end the interaction?
Bani, this has been a great learning experience.
No, yeah, your thoughts, because we never asked you your thoughts.
No. It's been a great learning experience, knowing that my teachers are very excited. We are a large school here in Bombay, and all our neighboring schools as well are taking this training, and it's fantastic. So we look forward to, so we are not waiting for the lockdown in a certain sense to end, but we are in the go mode in a certain sense that we want to take this to our children and be able to reach every child from our school. Thank you for this wonderful learning opportunity. Thank you, Bani, for sharing with us your thoughts and your vision. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you to all the viewers, and looking forward on 4th to see you at 5:30 evening with Vipul of Khan Academy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.